Hello, students. Good morning. I hope you all are doing well. So, students, now today we are going to start our 11th chapter, that is transportation in animals and plants. So, this is the first part of this chapter. So, let's have a look what we are going to study in this video. So, first of all, we will see what is circulatory system, then blood, composition of blood, functions of blood, blood groups and transfusion, Rh factor, and erythroblastosis fetalis. So, students, as the chapter's name is transportation in animals and plants. So, transportation we all know. In sixth class, we have studied about transportation, but this transportation is different from that transportation. In biology, transport is a life process in which a material absorbed in one part of the body of organism is carried to the other parts of its body. Means suppose one part is absorbing, or in one part some new products are formed, so it should be carried from that part to another part, or transported from one part to another part. So we have already studied that all living organisms, that is animals and plants, need a continuous supply of different materials such as nutrients, means food, water or oxygen, for their survival. We all know these materials must reach the various parts of an organism where they are needed. And we all know why all these materials are required, because respiration chapter we have already studied. So all the living organisms, they produce some waste materials also. About material also we have studied in last chapter. In previous chapter we have studied during the process of respiration, carbon dioxide gas is formed as a waste product. So carbon dioxide and some other products, they are also formed as a waste material due to different chemical processes occurring in our body cells. So these waste materials are very harmful, and if they are collected, they get accumulated, they can be very harmful for us. So they have to be removed from the body. So it is necessary that all the living organisms have some means of transporting materials from one part to the another part within their body. So all the living organisms, means plants and animals both, need a transport system to supply them with food, water and oxygen, and to carry away the harmful waste materials produced in their cells. So both plants and animals have their own transport system for transporting materials within their body. So in animals it is called circulatory system, and in plants we will study about vascular system. So in most of the animals, so first we are going to study about animals. So in most of the animals, the blood circulate in their body, and it transport food, water and oxygen to cells in all the parts of their body. And the blood also transports the waste material which is produced in the body cells to different parts of the body for excretion. Excretion, we know, removal of waste products. So students, before starting this, we should also know about the unicellular organism, or the very simpler organism, because they are made up of single cell, or they are not multicellular. If some hydra like organisms are also there, so they are not having very well developed circulatory system. So in that case, material transportation takes place in their cells only by the process of diffusion. Diffusion we have studied in respiration chapter also. Diffusion means transportation or movement of molecules from their higher concentration to lower concentration. So in simpler organism, means especially unicellular and so simpler organism, diffusion is the method by which transportation of materials takes place, has amoeba or paramecium or hydra, etc. Now we will see transport in humans, that is circulatory system. So the group of organs through which blood passes throughout the body is called circulatory system. Means the main transport system in human beings is the blood circulatory system, which is commonly called as circulatory system also. One more thing, Harvey was an English physician who first discovered the circulation of blood. Means first he discovered circulation of blood. So in circulatory system, blood carries digested food, water, oxygen, and other waste materials to all parts of the body. Means circulatory system means it transports the waste material also. And the circulatory system carries food, water, and oxygen to every part of the body and help in removing waste materials from the body parts, different body parts, and that waste material may be in the form of carbon dioxide. So the various organs of circulatory system in humans are heart, blood vessels. Blood vessels means three type of blood vessels are there, that is arteries, veins, and capillaries. And one more thing is there, that is blood. So blood is the connective tissue. Blood is a liquid connective tissue which flows throughout our body and which carry materials around the body. Means blood is that connective tissue which carries that materials which has to be transported throughout the body. And after that, the blood vessels means arteries, veins, and capillaries. They act as tubes or pipes through which blood flows in the whole body. And the third one is the heart act as a pump to push out blood. Now, components of blood. So blood, human have 4.8 to 5.8 liters of blood. And blood is red colored liquid which flows in the blood vessels and circulate in our body. It forms about 8% of our body weight. We know blood is red in color because it contains a red pigment. That red pigment is called hemoglobin. We all know blood consists of four components. Means its composition is plasma, red blood cells means RBCs, white blood cells means WBCs, and platelets. Plasma is a liquid, and red blood cells, white blood cells, and platelets, they are suspended in that liquid plasma. So we can say that blood is a liquid called plasma with red blood cells, white blood cells, and platelets floating in it. And the blood is able to transport various substances in the body due to presence of different components in it. So first of all, we will see plasma. So plasma is a liquid part of blood, and plasma is pale yellow or straw colored, and it is a sticky liquid, and it makes about 50 to 60% of the total volume of blood. And it is 90% it is made up of water, and in rest 10% common salts and other hormones and proteins and waste products are present. Means plasma contain dissolved substances as salt and other digested food, and waste product means like carbon dioxide and urea also. And plasma carries water and dissolved substances such as digested food and waste products from one part to the another part of body. And red blood cells, white blood cells, and platelets, they are immersed in this liquid, and that liquid is plasma. Now students, after plasma, we will see red blood cells, that is RBCs. So red blood cells are also called as erythrocytes, and they form the larger part of the blood, and they are suspended in the plasma. They are disc shaped, and nucleus is absent in these cells. They are living cells, then also nucleus is absent, and they are formed in the bone marrows of long bones. Their lifespan is of 120 days, and they are red in color due to the pigment. That pigment is iron containing pigment, means hemoglobin, and hemoglobin is present in RBCs. That is why, means it gives red color to the blood, and these red blood cells are the carriers of oxygen. So red blood cells carry oxygen from the lungs to all the cells of the body. It is actually the hemoglobin present in the red blood cells which carry oxygen in the body. So hemoglobin has two things, that is heme means iron, globins are proteins. So iron binds oxygen, and means iron which is present in hemoglobin binds oxygen and transport it to the all parts of the body and ultimately to all the cells. So if there is a deficiency of hemoglobin in the blood of a person, then it becomes difficult to give oxygen efficiently to all the cells of his body, because if hemoglobin will be less or blood will be less, means if RBC will be less in the body, then there will be no any oxygen carrier. So in that case, there will be oxygen deficiency in the person's body. So it is the presence of hemoglobin which provide oxygen to the all cells of our body, and yes, it gives the red color also to our blood. And most of the invertebrates, they have colorless blood, means they are having colorless blood because hemoglobin is absent. Next type of blood cell is white blood cell. White blood cells means WBCs, and these WBCs means white blood cells are also called as leukocytes. They are rounded or irregular in shapes, and nucleus is present in WBCs, and they are formed in the bone marrows and in lymph nodes. Their lifespan, means their life cycle is just of 1 to 2 days, and WBCs are much smaller in number than RBCs, means RBCs form the most part of the blood. In comparison to RBCs, WBCs are present in very less number in the blood, and these WBCs are larger in size than RBCs. So WBCs means white blood cells. They fight infection and protect us from diseases. This is because WBCs means white blood cells help to fight against germs which may enter our bodies, and they cause infections or diseases. So some white cells can eat up the germs like bacteria or other germs which can cause infections or various diseases. And other white blood cells, they make chemicals. That chemical is known as antibody, and that antibodies help to fight against infections. So here you can see 5 types of WBC cells are there: monocytes, eosinophils, basophils, lymphocytes, and neutrophils. Now students, after WBCs we will see platelets. So platelets are also called as thrombocytes, and they are the tiny fragments of special cells that are formed in red bone marrow. Their lifespan is 5 to 10 days. They are colorless just like WBCs. They are irregular in shape, and basically their function is, means they help in the clotting of blood in a cut or wound. Means when a cut or wound starts bleeding, then the platelet clots the blood, means they make the blood semi solid, due to which further bleeding stops. So suppose in any case, suppose you got any injury, you got any cut, so after some time that means when you got the cut or injury, then blood starts flowing from the cut. After some time, you can see a dark red clot is formed, and that dark red clot forms a plug, and it plugs the cut and bleeding stops. So blood clot, which is formed due to the presence of cells, and these cells are called platelets. Means that platelets which are present in blood, these platelets are very important for us, because if suppose there were no platelet in the blood, then bleeding caused by any cut from an injury, it would not stop, and it can cause a loss of too much blood from the body of a person, which can leads to death. It means blood is very important for us. Now we will see blood and its functions. Means what is the importance of blood? So the blood transports oxygen and nutrients to all the body tissues. So blood carries oxygen from the lungs. So how it carry oxygen from the lungs? It, this thing we have studied in previous chapter. When we inhale air, that air contains 21% of oxygen, and that air which we inhale, it finally goes in the alveoli air sac, and you have studied that the wall of alveoli or air sac is completely, it is surrounded by thin blood capillaries in which blood is present, and by the process of diffusion, oxygen get mixed into the blood. So blood carries oxygen from the lungs, and it transport that oxygen to different parts of the body. Just like that, in second chapter also we have studied when food digested. So that digested food nutrients are present in the small intestine, from where it get absorbed in the blood. So blood carries these digested food nutrients from the small intestine, and it transport to the all parts of the body. Then it removes waste products from the body. So about this also we have studied in previous chapter. The waste product, that is carbon dioxide, the waste product of respiration. So blood carries the waste product carbon dioxide from the body cells to the lungs, and when we exhale it. So next type of waste product is urea. So blood carries a waste product called urea, and that urea formed from the liver. Means that urea is formed in the liver to the kidneys for excretion in urine. Means blood carries a waste product from the liver, and then it brings to the kidney for excretion in urine. So the urine we excrete, it contains a waste product called urea. Then it controls the body temperature also, and it carries heat from one place to another to maintain our body temperature. Then it maintains water balance also in our body, because it carries and it distributes water to all the parts uniformly. So it maintains our body, it's maintain our water balance also. Then it kills bacteria and other harmful organisms. So all that other harmful organism or bacteria or some other microorganism, when we enter in our body, so blood protect our body from all that microorganism or germs, because they kill them. So white blood cells which are present in our blood, they kill the bacteria or other germs, other harmful microorganisms, and they protect us from diseases and infections. And it forms a clot at the site of injury and prevent loss of blood. So that thing we have studied about platelets. So platelets help in forming clots at the site of injury, and it prevent loss of blood. So basically the blood circulates in our body in two forms, that is oxygenated blood and deoxygenated blood. That thing we have studied in previous chapter. The blood carrying oxygen in it, it is called oxygenated blood, and oxygenated blood means it is rich in oxygen, and that blood is red in color. And the blood which is deficient in oxygen, that blood is called deoxygenated blood. And the deoxygenated blood is formed in all the organs of the body. And this is because when the oxygenated blood passes through the organs of the body cells use up this oxygen and make it deoxygenated. So the deoxygenated blood carries carbon dioxide. That thing we have studied in previous chapter, that blood carries oxygen and it distributes that oxygen to all the cells, and then blood receives all the carbon dioxides formed by the body cells due to the during the process of respiration. So deoxygenated blood means that blood is rich in carbon dioxide. So oxygenated blood is bright red in color, whereas deoxygenated blood is darker. Now, next thing is blood groups and transfusion. So first of all, we will see what is transfusion. Suppose what happened when due to any injury or accident or during an operation there is a need of suppose there is an excessive loss of blood from a patient's body. So what happened? Generally, the doctor tells us to arrange blood for the patient. Actually, there is no substitute for blood. So in that case, there is a need of a healthy donor who can give blood to the patient. So the process of giving blood artificially to the patient is called blood transfusion. So early transfusions used whole blood, but now modern medical practices commonly use only components of the blood, means RBCs, WBCs, plasma, clotting factors, or platelets as per the requirement of the patients. So transfusion of blood is done only after checking the blood groups of patients and donor. It is very important, and doctors should be very careful, and they remain very careful while transferring blood from the donor's body to the patient body. And it is very important to check the blood groups of patient and donor. So many things are checked when blood transfusion will be there. So now, how we check the blood groups? So there is a need of knowing what is blood group. So the ABO blood group were discovered by an American biologist, that is Karl Landsteiner, in 1901. And Karl Landsteiner, he has received the Nobel Prize in Physiology or Medicine in 1930 for this discovery of ABO blood group. So the blood of all humans, they have four type of blood groups, that is A, B, AB and O. So a person with the blood group AB is called universal recipient, as they could receive any type of blood. And person with blood group O is called universal donor, because their red blood cells have no antigen, they can give blood to any of the other bloods. So here you can see in the image, blood group A has antigen A in their red blood cells and antibody B in their plasma. Blood group B has antibody A in their plasma and antigen B on their RBC. Blood group AB has no antibody in their plasma and have antigens A and B both. And blood group O have both antibodies, that is antibody A and anti B in their plasma, and they are not having any antigen. So blood group A here, and in another diagram you can see blood group O is a universal donor because it has no antigen. So from means it is not having any antigen, that is why in other blood groups their antibodies will not react with it, so it can give blood to all other types of blood group. So blood group O can give blood to blood group O, A, B and AB. That is why it is called universal donor. And C blood group AB, it can give blood from blood to only blood group AB, but it can receive blood from blood group O, blood group A and blood group B and blood group AB. Means blood group AB, just because of not having any antibodies, it can receive blood from all other blood groups. That is why this blood group is called universal recipient. And blood group O has no antigen. That is why it can donate, it can give blood to all other blood groups, but it can receive from blood group O only. That is why this blood group is called universal donor. Now students, our next topic is Rh factor and erythroblastosis fetalis. So in 1937, Karl and Steiner and Alexander Wiener, two scientists were there. They discovered a new blood type, and that blood type is rhesus blood type, or it is called Rh factor. So first of all, that Rh factor, this is a protein, means this is an antigen which is found on the RBC, on the red blood cells. So first of all, it was discovered from the rhesus monkey. Rhesus monkey also contains, having this antigen on their red blood cells, on the surface of their red blood cells. So that's why first of all it was discovered from the rhesus monkey. That is why it is called Rh factor. On the name of that rhesus monkey, it is called as Rh factor. So our blood also contains RBC, means on the surface of RBC that Rh factor, means Rh antigen is present, but not in all. Means most of the people having Rh factor, but some people not having Rh factor. So the person in which Rh factor, means Rh antigen is present on their RBCs, they are called positive blood groups. Means suppose a person is having blood group A, on the RBCs of that person, this antigen Rh factor is present, then their blood group is called A positive. But suppose this Rh factor is absent from that blood, means from the surface of RBC, this Rh factor is absent. In that case, it is called A negative. So if Rh factor is present, in that case, it will be positive. And if Rh factor is absent, then blood group will be negative. So you might have heard about the blood group, and after that, after blood group, we usually say that A positive or B positive or O negative or AB negative. So this positive and negative is just because of presence or absence of Rh factor. If Rh factor is present, then the blood group will be positive. If Rh factor is absent, then it will be Rh negative. Next thing is erythroblastosis fetalis. Erythroblastosis, erythro means it is made of erythrocytes. So erythrocytes, blastosis means destruction, and fetalis means it is formed from the word fetus. So when there will be destruction of erythrocytes from of the fetus, then this is called erythroblastosis fetalis. So this erythroblastosis fetalis, it is also called as hemolytic disease of the newborn, that is HDN. It is a type of anemia in which RBCs, means red blood cells, erythrocytes of a fetus, are destroyed in a maternal immune reaction resulting from a blood group incompatibility between the fetus and its mother. And this incompatibility arises when fetus inherits a certain blood factor from the father which is absent in the mother. So in detail you will study in higher classes what happened in this case when father is Rh positive and mother is Rh negative. So in that case, in most of the cases, in such type of case, when couple is having means father is Rh positive and mother is Rh negative, so their children most of them will be Rh positive. So Rh positive factor means Rh factor the child has received from his father, his or her father, and mother is Rh negative. So in that case, mother immune system develop antibodies against the fetus Rh antigen, and in this case there will be destruction of RBCs or erythrocytes of fetus just because of maternal immune reaction. So in this case, most of the cases, first child can survive, but subsequently next progenies means next child cannot survive. So this is erythroblastosis fetalis, and if baby can survive, so they can experience swollen pale body, means they can have jaundice after birth, or they can have larger than normal spleen, and baby in most of the cases they are having anemia or low RBC count, and in most of the cases infants could not survive, means in most of the cases infants die. So this is erythroblastosis fetalis. Now some understanding based questions are there. So first one is who discovered blood group, then who discovered circulation of blood, who discovered Rh factor, how many blood groups are present in human beings, which blood group is called universal donor and why, and what are the functions of blood, what are the different types of WBCs means white blood cells. So all these answers of these questions you will get from this video only, but before watching any video, please read the chapters, means read the chapters from book and then watch the video. Thank you, students.